hear me on this. You work on it just because you're interested in it. So any professional in any field, let's take Bob, you were an engineer, correct?
Mechanical engineer.
Bob had things that I'm sure he did for work that were like, this is work. But then I bet he had some stuff on the side. Nobody may have ever even, it may have been some stupid little experiment that he was doing just to see if he could do it.
Tons of stuff going on like that all the time, yeah.
Give yourself the permission to work on that stuff. Hey, it looks like we may be having an intimate call today. Uh-oh, I like that. I like the intimacy. Get up close and personal. It's been a long time since we had one of those.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Usually there's at least 20, 30.
I know. You know, it sometimes it has to do with, I know that it was fall break last week for a lot of people. And I was coaching my son's football team, and we had all types of issues because of fall break. So, and travel issue. I traveled over the weekend, so tons of travel stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. How's it going, John?
Not too bad. I have some exciting drum news, though. I've got some kit coming in.
Oh, really? What do you got?
This Thursday, I'm getting a new snare. I'm getting the Tama SLP Classic Dry. So I'm excited for that.
Very cool. Very cool. Where'd you get it from?
I got it from Sweetwater.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. What is it? So what's it made out of?
I believe it's a aluminum cast.
Okay. So is Grant, is that their aluminum drum?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. It is an aluminum. I'm trying to see. Yeah, it's all aluminum.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're going to like that, man. You're going to like that. So the aluminum drums, I've got an aluminum. Well, this is actually Grant's aluminum on the kit at the moment. What's up, Ken? What's up, Bob, by the way?
Is there going to be another meeting at 4 o'clock?
Do we have another one scheduled at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, because the website all week has said the meeting is 4 o'clock today.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's not. That's
That's probably why there's no one here.
Yeah, that was a human error. Human error. Those happen around here occasionally. Thank you for that heads up, man. This is an aluminum drum that I've got right here, and then I got an acrylite. I have a black acrylite, which is like an aluminum with black galaxy coating. So I'm a big fan of them. I think you're gonna like that one.
Yeah, I was looking at the acrylite, but I think they discontinued it for a while. Then they started them again, but they're really hard to find because they're such a good deal. So they're trying to really up the, I'm sure you know this Bottom's favorite, which is the upgrade from the acrylite, the
Supra.
Yes, that sounds right. Super light.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's like 900 or something.
Yeah,
800.
it's a big step up. It's a big step up. I mean, whenever we just had a drum camp a couple of weeks ago, and we went to Forks and we went to Nelson's, and neither of them had any acros. And the time that our very first drum camp we did, I think there were like 8 snare drums that people bought that day, and we had like, it was a race to the acrylites. We sold. Forks sold out of acrylites, and then Nelson's, they only had one left, and they sold out of them. And I talked to Bryson, and he's like, dude, I just can't keep them when I get them. So yeah, I didn't know Ludwig had kind of halted production on them. They do that they're a little weird about, which I guess is why, you know, I don't know, you keep them in demand, I guess. But so like Black Beauties, I talked to them a couple years ago when we ordered this kit from them. And they said, yeah, this is just a B stock year for Black Beauties. And I was talking to the guys up at Forks too about it. And they said that they had B stock they wanted to sell through. So they were taking orders for the next year for A stock. But they had like over 800 orders for A stock already for the next year. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I get it, but why not just make them right now? And you know, so anyway, they're kind of picky about how they do their production, which they would know better. I mean, they're one of the oldest drum companies, so I guess I guess I should shut my mouth because I don't know about their production. But you know, the acrylite is amazing. It's hard to find, and it's a steal of a deal. You can find them used on Facebook Marketplace for between $200 and $300 all day. That's where I got mine. I got mine for, what did we get that one for? $125?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 125 down in Alabama, down at
Dang.
the Bama. Yeah, that's I used my old Facebook hack, which is if you're looking for gear, place it outside of your immediate area. If you're in like a major city, place it just south of you or just north. Like start searching out the areas that maybe it takes you an hour or two to drive to, and all of a sudden you start stumbling upon a kid out in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have anybody to sell this drum to. They'll sell it to you for that amount if you'll just come get it, So I also got a Rogers. It wasn't a Dynasonic. It was a Power. What is that one called? Their Power something. Bob
Tone.
Power Tone. Yeah, Power Tone. And I got that for $50. So and those you can sell for between $300 and $350. And he was really hesitant because he was going to have to ship it and it was going to cost $20 more. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I think he was like 15 and just selling off whatever his parents had bought, for him. That's cool, man. You're going to love it. Yeah. I would be interested to hear your opinion on the Tama. I've never played the Tama aluminum, even though I was with them for a long time. I played a lot of their other stuff. I've got their brass snare here, some other stuff, but I've never played their aluminum.
Right on.
What size is it though? We didn't cover that.
It's the classic 14-inch, I want to say. About standard.
Yeah, how deep?
Oh, deep. It's a 5.5.
Nice. This one is, what is this, a 6.5, Grant?
Yep.
Yeah, this is 6.5, and my Acrolite's a 5.5. So, but they aluminum drums just have a sound. And also, by the way, everybody, if it's an aluminum drum, it's going to sound pretty similar to an Acrolite. Don't tell them I said that. But it's kind of really hard to screw up an aluminum drum. It's really hard to screw up an aluminum drum. So a lot of times you can find some off brands that, it's not a Ludwig, but it's still an aluminum. Like there's plenty of Black Beauty knockoffs out there you can get for half the price and they sound great as well. Their Black Magic sounds amazing. And those cost like $350, $400. So, but yeah, that's crazy that they're pushing everybody to Supras now. Kind of nuts. Well, cool. I want to hear about it once you get it.
Absolutely.
Ken, what's up, man? I'm just gonna go. Since it's an intimate call, we're gonna talk to everybody.
Not too much, but I do want to tell you a very funny story that happened to me on Friday with my family with respect to camp.
Okay.
So every year after camp, when I get home or before I leave to drive home, I make a set list of everybody's song by the actual artist, and I put next to the name who did the song.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday night, I picked up my sister and her husband, and I got in the car. I think it was Creep was playing, right? So I said, Creep, Helen, I said, oh, this is the song Helen recorded in camp. And so I did it in the order of recording. And the next one was me doing Uptown Funk. And I said, oh, really good. The next one was Steven doing, what did he do?
He did
Enter Sandman, right?
Enter Sandman,
Yeah.
yeah.
So my sister's in her 80s. She didn't know too many of the songs. So, I stopped playing it for her. So I overheard her say, I heard Ken playing the drums today. He's really, really good. I says, no. That's the song. She goes, oh, so you aren't good then. I said, thank you very much. The whole week of drum camp now is just gone.
Yeah. So you're actually not good, are you?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, again, she's 80 years old. I think she knew like two of the songs, the whole list,
I bet.
I give her credit though. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Now Enter Sandman, for those who are New York fans, Enter Sandman was the walkout song for Manny Rivera, the closing picture. So a lot of people, so my brother-in-law who's 80, he knew the song from that. But a lot of people know that song only from the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting story though. But that was my win-lose for the day.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Kansas Spatz. He's no good.
And then one more win was on Saturday. Myself and Bob here and Juan and Steven and is it Daphne?
Mm-hmm.
Who was in camp?
Delphine. No, not Daphne.
Delphine. Delphine. And Richard L. We did our own little drum camp online for about an hour and a half. It was
Oh,
interesting.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll let Bob discuss it because he was the one who put it together. Bob put it together, right, Bob?
He was the culprit that put it together.
He was their ringleader, and it was a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anytime Bob's the ringleader, you got to watch out.
That's
watch
true.
out.
That's true.
What's your?
So,
You have an unverified win?
Yeah. You need to verify it for me.
Oh, okay. Is this like Guinness Book of World Records verification type thing?
No, this is, you know, a lot more about drums than I do kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
Okay. I came up with, I thought was 10/3,
Okay.
but I don't think it really is. And I want you to tell me what I'm playing here.
Okay.
Okay. 10 notes on the snare drum, which is basically right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
10 notes. Now, bass drum.
I can't hear you playing though. I can't hear you. I can't hear your playing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It sounds like your Zoom settings are cutting out the playing as background noise.
Yeah, no, I can't hear it. It's sometimes it's a Zoom say. Well, are you on an E kit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you do it for me then. You do it for me.
Oh,
1, 2, 3,
okay.
4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play that.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Play the bass on 1, 5, and 3. Is that 10/3?
No, because 10's not divisible by 3.
Right.
So if it's going to line up, if it lines up directly with those notes, then it's not going to be. If they're locking with what your hands are doing, it's not going to be an official 10/3. It is 10/3. It is 10 notes over 3 notes, but it's not. It wouldn't be a strict definition of that. In other words, my bass drum is not playing. What are those quarter note triplets, or would those be half note triplets? That would be half note triplets.
Yeah.
So my bass drum is not playing those consistently, although the hands are playing eighth note quintuplets. We're gonna have a beginner jump on here, and they're gonna be like, wrong school for me." Okay. Yeah. So that's the.
But it sounds like the bass is there's an even space between each bass hit.
Yeah. So sometimes what helps me do this is to. It sounds like there's an even. So the easier one to do for this would be to play 5/3. So quarter note quintuplets and half note triplets. If you can play that, then playing 10/3 is much easier because you just make it eighth notes, but you already know where those line up. So if you can equally space 5 notes over that staff in like a notation software,
Right.
or a notation software will do this for you. This is actually where computers really come in handy if you want to go deep on this. In the notation software, you can put in a triplet on the bottom and quintuplets on the top, or eighth note quintuplets, and it's going to evenly space them. So then you can visually see, oh, it actually doesn't line up in unison. It comes directly after whatever that is. And I would have to kind of work that out as far as like, okay, well, hold on. Let's just, okay, so that's.
Want to go on video? You see it right here.
Yeah, thanks. I got it.
Okay, so my hand is playing the triplet there. So the hand was playing for a second quintuplets on top of that.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's 5/3.
That's five.
It takes me a second to get it because it's been like 20 years since I've played that. So if you can, so then to me, sometimes when we're playing polyrhythms, if we reduce them or we increase them, so instead of playing 10/3, maybe try playing 10/6. The reduction of that is 5/3. Sometimes to me, but all that does when you play 10/6, that we are so deep in the weeds. We're like, we're like Crocodile Dundee. Did you see the alligator? If you reduce that, then you just have two sets of 5/3.
Okay.
So to me, when working on polyrhythms, I would take that quintuplet, and to double it becomes easier in my mind once I've worked out 5/3, because I can play alternating, and as long as I could play that on my leg. And as long as I can, so for instance, if like you were saying, you're playing triplets in your kick drum, and quintuplets in your hand, if you were doing that, then all you would have to do is play the off beats, and your right hand would never change, and you would be playing 10/3.
Gotcha. Okay. I see what
Yeah, and then you could take, because the sound's going to screw you up, then you can take it to the drum where the sound is, and it won't be as bad. But yeah, I mean, technically what you were playing is 10 notes over 3 notes, but the 3 notes are not exactly evenly spaced, right?
They're
And then we get
close-
into the
they're
territory
so
of,
close, they almost give you the
Yeah.
feel you're playing, even bass notes.
and sometimes it's so close that it's like, oh, instead of being a unison, that's actually a flam, where the
Yeah.
bass drum is like the primary note. That's how my small brain has to think of it. I can't think of like, I almost have to think of like, okay, it's a flam with the hand on 3, and then that's how but the first note will be a unison. We can count on that. We can count on the first note being unison.
All right.
So yeah. And then sometimes it helps to play alternating triplets like if we're doing that in the feet, because the half note triplet can be doubled to quarter note triplets. And if we're playing alternating triplets, the right foot is still playing half note triplets. And
Mhm.
I can hear, because sometimes the upbeat will line up with one of the other notes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, anyway, okay, I'm not going to go matter of fact.
So it wasn't really a win, but it was a realization.
Yeah, well, it's a win in that you're closer than you were before to playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's a win, is being able to, and you know what, Bob, for me, a lot of times if you can place your metronome, like let's say you can get a measure of 5 going and you have the 1, then you can try to count quarter note triplets on top of that, as well as you can put this into a notation software as 2 different instruments and ask it to play it on repeat, and it will play that polyrhythm.
And
And
you can really
sometimes
hear
learning-
the polyrhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I got to hear it, man. In college, we would have I would be like, okay, cool. This wasn't that long ago. This makes it sound like we were rubbing rocks together and sticks to make fire. I would have one drummer. I'd be like, okay, cool. You play 5 notes. I'm going to play 3 notes so we can hear what that sounds like. And then we would be able to hear it. And then once we could sing like bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon. That's 3/2. Dat tickatoon, dat tickatoon, dat tickatoon, dat tickatoon. So if you can learn to sing that and play that rhythm, then the next step is, okay, now let me learn to count the right hand. Bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon, bat tickatoon, bat da da bat tickatoon, bat da 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 da. So it's kind of that progressive thing.
Sure.
With those polyrhythms, they're not easy. You put in a lot of work for them, and the reward, I don't know.
The reward I find is you have something that you never use.
Yeah. Well, to me, everybody asks me, they're like, what is What is the point of working on polyrhythms? First of all, no time spent on the drum set is bad time. To me, it's more time spent doing what we're doing. It's not wasted time. It's not wasted because you spent 2 hours trying to count 5/3. To me, that's like we're training ourselves, you know. It's like saying, you know, the practice session that Michael Phelps did on December 2nd, 1995 was wasted. It's like, no, it wasn't. You know, we don't know that. There's no math that helps us figure that out. To me, it's not wasted at all, especially learning polyrhythms, because it gives you a deeper understanding of time and helps you slice it in more intricate ways, not because you're going to use it in those intricate ways, but because it just gives us more mastery of time, and it helps us have a deeper pocket, a more solid pocket. And it helped me when somebody's like, hey, play behind the beat. I dove so deep on time that it was like, okay, behind the beat. Okay, got that, you know. Once you spend 3 hours understanding that when you're playing 5/3, the third note in the 5 comes right before the second note of that kind of a thing, you know what behind the beat sounds like, because you're like, oh, the second note of that triple is behind that third beat. You start to feel that a little bit more. So to me, I think but do you ever use that? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Tony Williams used that crap on like 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah.
You know,
but it helps with independence. I think it's really good for independence.
It's excellent for independence.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of it's wasted time. And sometimes there's going to be stuff in your practice time that please hear me on this. You work on it just because you're interested in it. So any professional in any field, let's take Bob. Bob, I don't want to say this incorrectly. You were an engineer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What type of an engineer, may I ask?
Mechanical engineer.
Okay. So mechanical engineer. Bob had things that I'm sure he did for work that were like, this is work. But then I bet he had some stuff on the side he just did for fun, and nobody may have ever it may have been some stupid, you know, little experiment that he was doing just to see if he could do it.
Oh, we had tons of stuff going on like that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Any field you have that. And so to me, give yourself the permission to work on that stuff. Like if there's something that really lights your fire and you're like, man, I just really love, you know, black death metal, I'm never going to play it. I don't care. Practice some black death metal. That's awesome. You know, go to some shows. You're interested in it. You know, you have all these artists. A good example of this, I was in New Orleans this past Saturday, which, by the way, was just like a reset for my soul. I lived there for 3 years, and people don't understand what I mean when I say a city doesn't have soul until they've been to a place like New Orleans, which is practically a different country. It just has so much. It just ekes soul, man, and vibe. And anyway, I was there, and Dr. Seuss. There's a Dr. Seuss. It's very small. It's just like one little small house type of thing. It's a not a museum, but you know, they've got his art in there, an art gallery. There you go. It's gallery, but it's in this dark house, you know, that's very, very New Orleans-ish, on the back end of kind of side of Bourbon Street. And anyway, it's his adult work. I didn't know Dr. Seuss did adult art. I didn't know. We're not talking about like, you know, XXX type stuff. We're just talking about like he did stuff for adults. He didn't just do children's books. And man, it is some weird stuff. It kind of made me think differently about reading his books to my kids. I'm like, I don't know. If this guy is writing about ham, I don't know. You know, but
pretty bizarre guy, really. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could tell that from reading his books, right? But he had this whole part of his art that he just never really showed to people. This podcast is brought to you by the Drum Better Daily program. That's actually my online drum school that I've run now for 12 plus years. Not only have I been playing the drums professionally since the age of 15, I've been teaching since the age of 18. Matter of fact, I talked to one of my, my first student a few days ago. I actually called him to see if he could sub a gig out for me. Daniel, love you, man. And he's still playing. He's still doing it on a pro level.
I would love to have you go check it out at stevensdrumshed.com. You can find a link to that in the show notes or video description, whichever platform you're watching it on. But it truly is a community of like-minded drummers where we are striving to just be the best that we can be at the drums. In addition to over 70 pre-recorded drum courses, there's also a tech talk area where we talk about everything technology related as it pertains to the drums, e-kits, recording, doing videos, all of that stuff. There are forums where you can hang out with the other students as well. We do 2 live video student calls every week that you can join if you'd like to. We do guest artist calls monthly, and I'll even make you a personalized lesson plan if that's what you need. Yes, we talk about the nuts and bolts of drumming. Yes, I give you exercises, but we also talk a lot about how to practice more efficiently, how to practice better, and how to get more out of your practice time. I know you're just like me. You're busy, you're being pulled by work, by family, by friends, by other responsibilities. Whenever you practice, you really want to see gains and have it be productive. That is what we focus on in the Drum Better Daily program. I'll have to say personally, it's been really cool because some of these students I've worked with for over 12 years, we started running drum camps last year in 2022, and I got to meet some of them in person for the first time. Those drum camps have been selling out. They've been just blowing my mind with how much fun they are and how great a time it is to bring the community together in person. A community that was started online and has been going online strong now for over 12 years. I'd love to have you be a part of it.
Who was it? Not Alicia Keys, not Fiona Apple. This is such a bad way to get to her name. No. She came out on Blue Note Records, and I'm gonna get there. Her first album was huge. Jazz singer, not Diana Krall. I can't remember. I'll think of her name in just a second. Don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why I didn't come.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Anyway, so she had this
Nora
huge.
Jones.
Yeah.
Nora
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
See, and now you have a sneak peek into what Grant has to put up with working with me. I'm like, it's not blue, but not green. It's, and he's like, I don't freaking know, Steven, just let me Google it. I'm like, no, it's not a color. It's actually a sound. Anyway, so Nora Jones, when at the height of her popularity, she really didn't set out to be this like, the new attractive female girl jazz singer that Blue Note's pushing, which is what that became, So while she was doing that, she had another band where she would, I forget how she did it, but she essentially dressed in disguise so that she could play the stuff, and it was not jazz. It was the farthest thing from jazz, and you can look it up, Nora Jones alternate band, and you find some stuff on Reddit and stuff about it. They didn't bill it as Nora Jones. You wouldn't know it was her unless somebody told you. There's a band here in town called the Mummies, and they wrap themselves in mummy stuff, and they're these top session players that are playing music they want to play, but they don't want you to know who they are. And it's a rotating cast. It's not always the same guys, but if you're in the know, you kind of know a couple of guys that are like, yeah, they're in the Mummies, but they don't even tell people who's in it, And so I don't know. If you're interested in it in your practice time and it kind of sparks your interest, I think you should devote some of your practice time to it as a reward for working on some of the stuff that you like, or some of the stuff that like is your lesson stuff to help you with independence. And because that stuff is also going to help you with independence. That stuff's also going to help you with timing. Allow yourself to go down that black hole and figure out maybe it's not a black hole. Maybe there's actually something down there that's kind of cool and you wind up using it. So I just give yourself some liberty to do what Bob's doing with, polyrhythms. Like, I don't know where it's going to go. Who knows? Let's find out. I don't know. So that's cool, man. That's cool. What
Thanks,
E-kit are you playing on though? Even though we can't hear it.
I got the same kit you got at the studio, the Roland 27.
Oh, I was going to say the one with a lot of initials.
Yeah,
The 27.
Roland doesn't say, it doesn't have a word. It's got numbers and letters. So it's a TD27KV.
Yeah. Hey, Ken, what was that E-kit that we saw just recently at Forks? We were all messing around with it. That DW is putting out.
Yeah. I don't remember. Was it a Yamaha? I wasn't too sure.
It was a DW.
It was a DW, yeah. And it was Bluetooth. There
No,
was no lag.
it wasn't Bluetooth.
It wasn't. So
It was wireless.
DW. It wasn't Bluetooth, like I said first. It wasn't Bluetooth, but it was real drum shells. There were no wires.
Wireless. Yeah.
It was wireless.
Well, that is cool.
Yeah, and there was no lag in the sound. I think there's a witch involved, but
There might
I
be.
couldn't. I think tiny ones, and I think they put them inside of the drums. I don't know how they were doing it.
The kid's very
But it's
expensive,
such-
right?
Huh?
The kid is very expensive, right?
Yeah, I think they said the intro price could be like 10 grand or something. Something
Yeah.
stupid. Wait 5 or 6 years, it'll come down. When nobody buys it, they'll be like, "Oh, that was
Well,
too expensive."
From what he was explaining, is right now they're selling it in the DW Performance Series drum. So you're buying like a real drum set, and then they put the hardware into the drum set. And apparently you can just take that hardware out, and then you have like a regular DW Performance Series. So you're buying like a real drum kit and the E-kit stuff that they put inside. What they're going to do eventually is just sell the stuff that you can put into any shell, but they're going to
Yeah,
try
makes
and
sense.
like milk as
This
much
is
money.
the kind of innovation we need in drumming. We
Yeah.
don't need them to come up with a hi-hat that still doesn't work, that feels a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys. Anyway, the cool thing about it is it looks like a drum set, because it is a drum set. So
yeah.
you play it. I think that's a big part of people playing E-kits. That, because we talk to a lot of drummers. Y'all have no clue how many drummers we talk to on a weekly basis. And there's always this thing of like, well, I don't play on a real drum kit. And I'm like, yes, it is a real drum kit. It is an E-drum kit. They don't look like a drum kit though. They look like something from the 80s is what they look like. I'm not bad mouthing drum kits. I'm like, I wish the manufacturers could be on this call so I could give them, give it to them. We did in a video. Sweetwater asked us to do a video, and I just kind of accidentally went off on the stupid drum companies because I was like, come on, y'all, this is ridiculous. All this innovation, and it's $1,500 for a hi-hat or something. Anyway, sorry. And we also used a bunch of clips from live videos that we had of me ranting about it.
I always thought the way you said was, if they're going to build a new hi-hat, electronic hi-hat, why go base it on the acoustic design? Why not just completely reinvent the hi-hat, But
Yeah.
then no one's done that. No one's done that.
No. Ed, what's up, man?
I was just showing him how to raise his hand, but go
Oh,
ahead.
maybe you could come here and
I-
show me next.
Yeah, no. Hey, by the way, are you trying to get gentrified with that haircut? I haven't seen you in a few months. So
Hey, I'm trying to do something. Look, it's a growth year.
yeah, it
that's
looks-
a joke.
it
It's a
looks good, but you look different. I'm just saying that.
Well, usually I have a hat on, so
Yeah, the hat. Yeah, that's good.
that's
on
better.
the,
Put
on
that
the
on.
E-kit, and then I had a question on the E-kit. So I just upgraded my TD20.
Okay.
It was like 15, 20-year-old technology. I put it on offer up and I sold it in a day. It was weird.
Mhm.
And I kept telling the guy, I don't want you to come till next week. He says, I'm coming now. And I said, all right. But anyway, I got a VAD, a virtual acoustic design Roland 507.
Okay.
The landscape guys here. So sorry about that.
That's all right. How's the
So
playability?
the big
of it?
innovation is this, because I've had it a week and I'm still not happy with the hi-hat. But there are 4 of the instruments that are digitally connected. And when you digitally connect it, you can put more senses into the processor.
Mhm.
So that's, and if it's not digitally connected, you cannot go Bluetooth. Now this kit will allow Bluetooth, but it's not Bluetooth from each instrument. It's Bluetooth to incorporate a song off of your iPad or your mobile device. So I'd say there was improvement in the sound from the TD20 with the VAD 507, and they look like real drums. But the 4 instruments that have digital connections are superior in terms of the sound quality. And the whole issue for V drums, in my opinion, is you can jump from a jazz kit to a rock kit to a samba. You can, by a push of a button. And I don't have the patience to be tuning acoustic drums.
Mhm.
I mean, it just takes a lot of time to tune acoustic drums. And, when I'm around the drums, I want to be playing them. I don't want to be tuning them, So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thinking on that. I don't know.
So we have 2 E-kits here at the studio now. We keep them set up. We use them at camps actually to help keep the volume down in the front room. Bob, I know you'll be coming here soon. You'll be thankful for that. So we have the 27 and we have the 17, I think it is. And we'll be doing a video for Sweetwater on those to kind of show what's different about each one. They're fun. I mean, they're fine to play on. There's nothing against them. My whole thing is with manufacturers, it's kind of like you are just pointing out, like they're releasing stuff that's half baked, you know, and charging more and not taking the time to reinvent the concept. Didn't Roland buy DW, Grant?
Yes.
The rumor mill was, this is just the rumor mill, was that DW had developed some software and we're about to take it, you know, put it out. And so Roland kind of came in and bought them. So they keep that market. That is the rumor. It's an incredible kit. It's very expensive, but it will be a good option for, you know, that stuff. So
I paid about $4,700 for the VAD 507.
yeah, they're not cheap.
They list for like 51, and yeah. So and retailers hate to give any discounts. It's brutal.
There's also another company called EF Note that has come out recently that I'm hearing very, very good things about. I have not played their stuff, but they are is it Chinese or Japanese company, Grant? Do you remember?
I think they were European.
Maybe. Like I said, working with me is not great because I don't actually know anything. Ed, you said you had a question though? Ed's gone. Ed's all alone. Steven, what's up, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something really important about the E-kits. They're not interchangeable for lefties.
Yes. Yes. So the E-kits here at the studio. Yes, which is actually something I
think it's something to consider. I mean, if you can, I guess you could set it up lefty, but it's kind of permanent, you know, who really wants to.
It's permanent. They're not, and that was something that I had not even thought about until you brought it up, and I was like, oh, snap, we set those up so quick, and we're proud of ourselves for a solution that we kind of isolate anybody that's left-handed.
No, I mean, I don't mind, but something like for them to think about,
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and they come with a left-handed setup and a right-handed setup that tells you how to do it. And Grant knows that because he didn't read the instructions, and he set our drum kit up. Did you set it all up left-handed? But
I set the whole thing up left-handed, and I was like, that's not right.
But he's trying to put it together for a right-handed person. He's following the left-handed instructions, but he's trying to put it together for a right-handed person because they had like a mirror image or something. I don't know. And anyway, it was kind of funny that I was like, well, the problem here is I'm not left-handed. So that's hilarious. Yeah, that is, but you know, that's like an easy workaround, which reminds me, Grant, on any of the future camps, we need to ask if they're left or right-handed. So for the practice sessions, I can make sure I can arrange that ahead of time. Which I will say, there are camps out there that, for whatever reason, don't accept left-handed players, which boggles my mind. It's very like it's such an easy. It's not a big deal. It takes like 2 minutes to like set the stuff up. So they're like, we're not set up to handle left-handed players, and I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's another conversation. Very cool, very cool. How have things been going since camp, Steven? I haven't talked to you.
Really amazing. Yeah.
Good.
I wish I was still there.
Yeah. Well, we do too. We wish you'd come hang out, man.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to leave. I wish I was still there. I want to go in November, you know what I mean? But I know it's all booked up, but yeah, we'll talk and we'll work it out.
Man.
I'm really excited. It sparked something from, I mean, I feel more energized and excited than I did when I first started less than 2 years ago. So
That's awesome.
super excited. Love it.
You know, the thing that, like, and this isn't a pitch for the camps. The thing that the camp does is it's just an extension of the online community. And a lot of times it's just people meeting in person that have known each other online, which is not necessary. And that's my whole point.
Right.
Getting involved with the community, like they did a student call the other day without us. You know, Bob just organized it. All those are great. Anytime you want to hang out with someone online that you meet in our community, we have people that meet. I was telling Grant about this last week. I was like, dude, almost every stop I make with the Steel Woods, which is the group I'm playing with right now, there's a student there, or someone that used to be a student, or someone that watches what we do. Like, this is not normal. You know, the band jokes. They're like, oh, it's time for Steven's meet and greet. And it's like, I'm like, no, this is just the community that we've spent so long building, and they want to come out and hang, you know? And sure, some of them don't even stay for the show, which I'm not offended by the way. I don't go to shows that go till midnight. You know, I got a life. So it's like, it's just an extension of that online community. And we push people to get involved as much as you can with the community online, to get to know people. And if you're not ever able to come to a camp, that's okay. It's not, there's no slight on that. You can still get involved and encouraged in the community by coming to the live calls. Even if you just make 1 or 2 a month, it helps you understand there's other people out there that are, you know, doing the same thing as you, because a lot of you are older learners. Don't take that the wrong way. A younger learner would be someone that's still in grade school, high school. An older learner, you're an adult. You did not learn this stuff as a kid. And that it's a different learning curve. And there's a lot more, especially the older you get, because you kind of pile baggage on yourself. And there's a lot more baggage that goes with learning new stuff, even though I don't think there should be. And Stephen and I, you know, we talked about that. We are, the one-on-ones I do with people, they oftentimes go into, hey, this is kind of a bigger symptom of what's going on in life, I think, here. And I'm not a therapist, so maybe you should think about it. You know, we had someone that they had 0 time to practice. Every time they did practice, they were completely distracted. They had, you know, businesses to run and things to do and emails coming through. And I'm like, well, this is a problem. If you don't have time for 15 minutes of something you want to do, life is out of balance. I'm preaching to the choir right now, by the way, because my life is pretty busy up until the end of the year. But it kind of, if we take those as like, oh, this is a symptom of something much bigger that we need to deal with. And the drumming is just kind of shining a light on that. I used to be a personal trainer for a while, and someone being overweight or out of shape, it far too often had nothing to do with their motivation. It far too often had to do with something else in life. And once you kind of got down to that, it's like, oh, if you fix this, the other will fix itself. You know, you'll get in shape. So anyway, cool, man. I'm glad that post camp has been pretty good.
Is there going to be a level 3?
Yes, next year. Next year we will be carving out a level 3. We will release registration middle of November for everybody. And next year we are doing 2 level 1s, 3 level 2s, and 1 level 3 camp. So that is the plan right now, unless we get a bunch of people that are like, unless it like, you know, we need to switch that to 3 level 1s and 2 level 2s because we have more level 1s sign up. Hopefully we don't need to do that though, because it's kind of a nightmare for Grant and I. As far as like switching registrations and stuff, but that is the plan right now, is to slowly integrate a level 3. Yeah. So we built towards those for a long time, and they've been very successful as far as the success rate of people that come. I'm very happy with the advancements we've seen. And I was talking to somebody about it. I think I was talking to Juan about it. Richard, he's just, you know, we've gotten to see him for the past 2 years. Just, you know, his playing has grown by leaps and strides, which has nothing to do with him coming to a camp. Has everything to do with that being just a further commitment he's made to, I want to get better at this thing, you know, I want to commit more to this thing, I want to get involved with the community, that kind of a thing. So anyway,
He
very
took
cool.
a semester at Berkeley.
What's that?
He took a semester at Berkeley.
Yeah, he did. Richard did take a semester at Berkeley. Yeah, online, which that's a great thing about universities and colleges now. You can often audit a semester and you don't have to officially enroll. There's so many options out there. Actually, the problem now is there's too many options because people get paralyzed with options or they take on too much material.
Yep.
And Benny Greb, he made a post yesterday that I wanted to kind of shout from the, rooftops. It's what I spend all my time telling people. He said, often people think it's another new exercise that's going to get them to the next place. And he said, what I found is it's often the same exercises. We're just going on a deeper level with them, spending more time with them, advancing them to a deeper degree that gets us kind of to where we want to go. But we don't like that. We like shiny new objects, myself included. And so it's like, what's the shiny new object that I can do that's going to get me to the next level? And the shiny new object is actually show up every day and put in the work and take those simple exercises as deep as you can. That's kind of the gist of that. So Ken, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say something about camp this year versus my first. So I did camp level 1 in 22 and in 23. And I felt that the 22 session to me was my intro to 23. And I think it was great. I think by doing the level 1 and 22 kind of gave me a better understanding of what happened in 23, and it made 23 much easier. It was really good. That's what I'm thinking. Next year, level 2 for me again might be an intro to level 2 to the following year. But I think it was for me. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
it was a
and
very good experience.
That has nothing to do with camps either. That just has to do with any material you're working on. So I've got a book that I just read, and I underlined and studied while I was going through it. But now I'm going back through the book and taking notes on everything I underlined. And then I will take those notes and I will look at how I can apply that to my business. It's a business book. I'll look at how I can apply that to my business. So oftentimes the first flyover of material is just an introduction, whether that be an online lesson track in the members area, a one-off session you're doing, maybe you're auditing a class, maybe you're, whatever that, maybe you come to a camp, because a lot of people say, oh, I came to level 1, I don't, and it's like, okay, well, you came, but you're kind of hanging on by the skin of your teeth. So why don't we go back through it and do a little bit of a deeper dive on it? So don't be afraid to go back through material, because you're not wasting time like we were talking about with Bob earlier. It's not wasted time. You can approach it on a deeper level, and it feels different to be at the head of the class than it does to be at the back of the class, not physically. It feels different to know, oh, I'm leading the class right now. Like I am actually I'm one of the ones that is playing 90% of this stuff correctly. I am pushing myself, like I'm one of the ones and what you're doing is you're learning how to lead in a band setting. You're learning how to keep other people in line with what's going on. You're learning, there's a lot of skills that you take from learning in a setting like that. So don't be afraid to go back through a method book or a series of lessons, or to go through it 3 or 4 times and just go on a deeper level. I have a lesson set called Paradiddle Mastery. I've got it divided up into 3 different levels. And I suggest people go through it 3 different times and take something different from it every time, So yeah, I like that, man. I like that, Ken.
There's a book called Syncopation, Stephen.
Yeah.
Which I went through, then I go through again, and every time it gets more and more complicated and more difficult.
I was going to say, have you finished it yet? Because I haven't.
No. I'm really just on the cusp of it, but it's you can do so much with that book. It's insane.
It is insane. And you know what? We on the podcast channel on YouTube, we posted Dave King's interview the other day, which is phenomenal. And I think at lunch or something, I'm actually going to go through it, just watch it again. It was such a good call. One of the best we've had. Oftentimes people go through something like syncopation, and he used syncopation as an example with like Alan Dawson's methods, which are great because they give you a language. But he said oftentimes people are just regurgitating this series of stickings. And he said what happens is the lead voice, which is the ride cymbal in a jazz setting, he said it just becomes this amalgamous thing. There's nothing specific about it. So going back through something like syncopation and focusing on like, okay, so I'm going to do these exercises, but I am going to focus on that ride cymbal just slamming, just being as in the pocket as it can be, is a thing, because the first time you go through it, it's like, I'm just trying to get the coordination down with this. But you go through it another time and a time after that, and all of a sudden you're now, okay, I got the coordination. Now let me work on my pocket and my consistency of this ride cymbal pattern while I'm doing that. I was talking to somebody the other day, they had played, and it was they were playing all the notes, but it was the consistency of those, like when you're, playing. The group I'm playing with, look, it is not, it's not rocket surgery. It's not the music as far as on the surface. The grooves I'm playing are not extremely difficult technically. So what I try to do is take them as deep as possible. And the one thing you will notice if you come to a show, the backbeat, that's not negotiable. You're going to get it in your face the whole night, because that is my job. You will hear the hi-hat come up and down, but the kick and snare, it's going to be in your face the whole night, because that is the job of me and that band. That's the center for them. That's the pocket. And so, with different genres, it's different things. But even Dave, it just reminded me of listening to Dave the other day and him saying, syncopation's great, and it is, but like you got to go back through it, and you have to go back through it and go back through it and back through it, till you really ingest that stuff. So, which is simultaneously inspiring and very depressing. You have to go back through that so much. So, let's see here. Anybody else got any wins? Any questions? Do we have any submitted?
We have one submitted question, but Ed threw a question in earlier I want to get before we miss it.
Oh, cool. Let's do that.
He asked if we tagged the grooves in some of our course material to any songs that have those grooves in them yet.
In some of the courses we have, not in all of them. So yes, this next 2024 is going to see me diving deep into teaching a ton more. I'm hoping that a lot more material comes out in 2024, as well as revamping some of the experience, some of the material in the lesson tracks and things. That is my hope, that I'm able to go through there and put some of those things in there too.
Just from a clarity standpoint, so you've got like, I don't know, 10 or 12 grooves in the in your basic groove material. And so what would be great would be to just say this groove can be aligned to these 3 songs, this groove to those 3 songs, that kind of thing. That way you're doing more than just changing your BPM up and transitioning, to a fill.
Yeah, you're syncing it to some songs.
Yeah, because when totally and the other thing is, to your point, when I play a groove, it doesn't sound as good as other people playing it, and I'm trying to figure that out. And I think it's just like you say, it's just it's not necessarily just dynamics or timing. It's just I don't know. It's just it's I'm just gonna stay with it, but I think it just has to do with the maturity of the drummer. And I don't know if that's your assessment as well.
What's the well, we have to have a definition of good. What does that mean? When you say it doesn't sound as good?
I'm playing it in time, and I'm sensitive to, if it's ghost noted, making sure I'm doing the right number of ghost notes. I think part of it is the hi-hat. My hi-hat still on these V drums suck. And I got the 14-inch too. And I thought there was going to be a huge upgrade, but for whatever reason, it isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. But I just find that, I was listening to some grooves from one of the guys on the web, the Swedish drummer, and he plays these grooves. And so then I just looked at it and I started doing it, but it didn't sound the same. And I was trying to just figure out, what is he doing that I'm not doing?
Yeah.
It's just, and I think it just has to do with, this guy's been playing drums for probably 30 years. I mean, it's the maturity and maybe his relaxation. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons I asked that is because there was a long time with my own playing where I would say that the same. I'd be like, it doesn't sound as good as them, but it was actually a bigger problem of me not accepting how I sounded on the drum kit. So in other words, I really didn't like my voice. When I was a kid, I didn't like my voice, my actual talking voice. I didn't like it. I thought it was high-pitched and squeaky, and it was. So I didn't like it. So it kept me from talking a lot, and I always thought everybody else's voice was a lot better. So for me, a lot of that was being honest with myself and saying, okay, where's the quality? You know, it's like the old book, is it The Art of Motorcycle Maintenance? Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's a book on quality. And so instead of looking at something as good or bad, we simply look at it as, does this have the quality that I want it to have? And if it doesn't have the quality, what is that quality that I'm looking for? So for me, going, it doesn't sound as good as that drummer, that's not a quality for me. I'm going to go deeper and go, but why doesn't it? Kind of like what you said. All of a sudden you started saying, I think it could be my hi-hat. That could be the culprit. And it may be a thing of like, it does not sound like them because I am on an E-kit and it's very hard for me to get the same nuances that they are getting on an acoustic kit. So then we have, this is as good of quality as I'm going to be able to get it on an E-kit of this stature. So now we've taken away from this big cesspool of good or bad, and we've assigned quality to the different levels of it. So that for me, I'm able to see. And another thing would be like, you know, New Orleans drum. That's fresh in my mind because I was there. I didn't have the quality of a New Orleans drummer. At the time, I said I sounded bad. Now, let me go ahead and say I did sound bad. I had no pocket. I had no clue what New Orleans felt like. I didn't have a clue what gumbo tasted like. I didn't know what it smelled like. I didn't know what it felt like at 3 a.m. I didn't understand the culture. There was a much more nuanced, I didn't listen to the music. There was a much more nuanced look at why Steven didn't have the quality of a New Orleans drummer. And so then I start going, okay, cool. How do I get those qualities? You can listen to Jeff Porcaro play a groove, and Steve Gadd play the same groove, and Steve Jordan play the same groove, and Steve Smith, 3 Steves, right, play the same groove. It will feel totally different between all 3 of them. And I think understanding where it is personal nuance of that specific player versus, here's a good example. I don't sound like that drummer playing that groove because my kick drum is inconsistent in its subdivisions. This would be something I would look at. So my E's and U's on the 16th notes are inconsistent. Sometimes they're a little ahead, sometimes they're a little behind. For me, and my kind of small depressed brain sometimes, that allows me an opportunity to improve it instead of just being good or bad. I'm like, okay, now I have something specific to work on. So we slow it down, we set that metronome to 16th notes, and I start trying to line them up. I also start trying to play with that drummer and trying to find out why. Brick House, it's an example. The bass drum has a slight swing on that song. It just does. The hi-hat has a driving feel to it. If you're playing, you know, so if you're playing that, I would listen through because I almost got fired. I didn't have any groove. That's actually what they told me. I couldn't make people dance was what they told me, but I didn't have any groove. So I would listen to these classic songs that will make everybody dance. Funky Music, White Boy, Brick House. Those are a couple. And I would dissect. I would listen through. I'd be like, what's the kick drum sound like? What's the snare drum sound like? What's he doing on the hi-hat? What's happening in the bass? What's happening in the guitar? I mean, it would just be listen after listen after listen so that I could find the quality of why that drummer could make people dance and I couldn't, because I was playing the same freaking notes, you know? Like, why can't I do that? So I don't know. I think you're closer to discovering that, man, whenever you said, like, it may be partly my hi-hat. Defining it to those very specific things is what I think is a better way to do that.
Yeah, I also think there's a maturity thing. I mean, what can you expect? I mean, it's like, you know, when somebody's been playing for 20 or 30 years, I just think there's a there's just a nuance to the way they play. I mean, I just think it's maturity. You know, it's like
Yeah.
getting your hair cut. I mean, somebody who's done it for 20 years, they can do it while they're talking. And you go to somebody who's been doing it 3 years, and you can see they're just like, you know, taking their time.
Yeah, that comes with playing with a band too. So like Taylor Hawkins, after he passed away, Josh Freese, who is a monster drummer, was picked to take his place. And go on the band forums. People are complaining that he doesn't sound like Taylor. It doesn't feel the same. He's new to the gig. It's going to take him a year or two to settle in. And people say, oh, it shouldn't take that long. Not to learn the notes, but to settle into that gig, 6 to 12 months. And he knows it. I guarantee you, if you asked him, he'd be like, well, I just started. So first of all, give me a couple shows. And by a couple, he means like 50 to 70. You know, somebody like Josh is going to learn quicker. But me, when I'm on a gig, I'm like, yeah, no, I just got with the band. Well, you've been with them for 3 months. And it's like, yeah, we did 20 shows. Big whoop. I haven't settled in yet. I'm still feeling things out. So I think you're right. There is a nuance that comes to, you know, that time spent with that specific item that makes it, it makes it deeper, you know, makes it much deeper than anybody that's been married. Look, a couple that's been married a year have different arguments, discussions, than a couple that's been married for 5 years than a couple that's been married for 20. And I'm at like 21 years. We've been together 25 years, or am I at 22? Don't tell her I asked that. We're at 21. But there's people that have been married for 50 years that have completely different discussions than she and I have, because their relationship is like so much deeper, you know, just more time put in. So yeah.
Well, thank you for your insight. I've got a GE service guy who's here to fix an oven, so I have to slide away.
Do it, man. We'll see you.
Take care.
Stephen,
Yes.
can I ask you a quick question about what happens between the ones?
Yes.
You know, I find that when I play with a metronome on 16th notes, it takes away the personality of my playing.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if I can explain that right, but it just it stiffens me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is that a good thing to do, or is it? You know,
so it's a good thing to do. We were talking about this in the forums with someone, a live gig they had played, and the metronome was on 16th notes. For me, timing is found in the notes on the page. This is the time you're supposed to play those notes. It's on the one, the of the one, whatever that may be. Metronomes have to do with timing. We're humans, though, and humans have to do with soul and pocket. That's something that metronomes and computers really can't replicate. They can replicate a pocket, but they can't sound like a human. And so for me, groove is found in the white spaces in between the notes. That's where we find groove. The difference between, I'm just talking about New Orleans stuff because I'll use the same example. You can play the same groove and play it in a New Orleans funk style, or play it in a Bay City funk style, or play it in a Detroit style, you know. It's going to feel different. The notes are the same. It's the treatment of the notes. It's the white space in between. So I think that using the metronome on 16th notes for me is a very, very good tool whenever I'm trying to get the timing of something down. Whenever I'm trying to make sure that my 16th notes are aligning correctly on the grid, it's a very good tool. If I'm on a gig and you set that metronome to 16th notes, I may come out and hit you. Like, it's just, don't do it. It's awful. I don't want to do that. You know, nobody, you know, it's like, you know. It's like, okay, I am a robot. I will put, you know, I'm going to try to lock up to every one of those. And so what I have to do is put some white space in there so that I can learn to deal with the white space. Have you ever tried to sit by yourself for more than 3 minutes? It's kind of hard sometimes. That's white space. We have to learn to sit with that beat and not be babysat through the whole thing. So for me, pulling the 16th notes out and putting more white space in between the notes allows the humanity to come through, which is where pocket comes through. And so for me, groove is found in that white space. We always pay attention to the black marks on the page, but next time you take a sheet of paper out with sheet music on it, ignore the black marks and just pay attention to the white spaces. And you're like, well, how do I play the white spaces? Don't know, you never tried. You only tried to play the notes. So try to play that white space, try to mess with the space in between the notes. Because we have to play that space too. That, for me, anyway, I can't stand 16th notes. The band I was in, Lovers and Liars, their drummer before me liked 16th notes. And at the first rehearsal, this was years ago, before we were with Universal and everything, and we got 2 songs in, and I was like, hold up, what is happening with this click? Oh, he liked it on 16th notes. I said, yeah, immediately fix it. Whatever we have to do, like take it away, please. Because I don't, it was affecting how I was playing. I'd learned these songs and I couldn't play them correctly. So, yeah, it's a good one. Chip, nice win for me. Got to attend a drum clinic on Saturday. Rich Redmond, drummer for Jason Aldean. First drum clinic in this area for several years. He brought everything back down to the basic. It was nice to see the basics at a professional level, left encouraged and inspired. Yeah, look, Rich Redmond is one of the best at the basics. I mean, he's made a living at taking that on a deep level. And some people will look at a player like that and say, oh, they're so surface. They have tapped into something that is just so deep. Efren Toro, Efrain Toro, Toro. Go look him up. That cat was deep. You want to talk about polyrhythms? That guy will play polyrhythms. He had a material, you can find it somewhere on the internet, of his, self-released book in whatever country he was from. And he just said, he was in a clinic, and his clinic was one of those where people were with him for like 10 minutes, and then you started to see eyes glaze over. And by the end of the hour, even the professors were like, what? He just was taking it, and he was just sitting there going, have you ever played this for an hour? And then he just proceeds to play it for a really awkward amount of time while everyone sat there. And he just could care less. He was just having fun. And he said your perception of that groove at the end of the hour is different than your perception of that groove at the beginning of the hour. And he said your understanding of where time sits is different. Now, let's just say Efren was what we would call in space a little bit. He was one of those cats that's like, you kind of had to bring it back to like, Efren, what do cats and unicorns have to do with it though, But if you could stick with him, man, Johnny Vodakovich, he's another one. He will play you under the table, but he's out there. And quick question, then I'll have to drop off. I hope you're still on here, Chip. Sorry. Loops, looking for some quality loops, not drumless tracks, trying to practice and not get mentally caught up trying to learn a track. Just wanting to learn groove pattern to a 2-4-8, etc. bar loop. We have some play-alongs in the members area. I don't believe they are loops. Anybody have some loops that they use that are good go-tos? They don't have to be drumless.
There's some apps that you can loop things. I'll have to look, but that might be an option, is if you find like a song or something or a section that you like, you can just put that into the app or whatever, and then it'll just loop that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You could also do that in GarageBand too. You can loop in GarageBand.
Yeah, I was saying on YouTube, there's a few channels. You could just look up on YouTube, rock groove at 75 BPM, and a video will come up with it, and you can play along to it. Yeah.
There's some good loops out there that are definitely in the free area, if that's what you're looking for, Chip. I also practice the music instead of using a metronome. I will put on, I'll Google songs at 90 BPM. Anybody that's come to a camp here, they see me do it all day. I'm like, wow, let's practice that to some music because I'm tired of listening to this click. And so that's another way to do that too. Grant also linked a great TED Talk from Jojo Mayer. I think it's The Distance 2-1 or something that he called it. That's a really good TED Talk to listen to. So Cool. I think was that all the questions? Did I miss one?
That was all. The submitted question was actually the question we just answered about the loops from Chip.
Okay, cool.
Was it?
Cool. Yep. Awesome. We have a practical applications on Wednesday at 3:00. Is that correct?
Yes, that call is at 3.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna do that call at 3. We'll check and make sure everything's good. Thanks, Grant, and also for a new name for the band, Cats and Unicorns. I think it's gonna be an awesome name. It's gonna be perfect. My daughter's gonna love it. Awesome. Well, we will see everybody on the next call. Practice some. Email me. Call if you need something. We're around, and we'll see some of you in a couple weeks in November. And yeah, everybody have a good week. We'll see you.